I think the most time I spent was on concept. Like actually building it didn't take that long, but once you start, like things come together.
Yeah. So as a kid, I was obsessed with this game called Portal. You've probably heard of it. You get given a portal gun and you can shoot portals at walls and you have to solve a bunch of different puzzles. Me and some friends stayed up all night playing through the first game. I think we pulled an all-nighter and then we like had 1 hour of sleep and then woke up and did the final level. And every time someone would die, we'd like pass the controller around. So imagine my surprise when I found out that portals are real. Okay, just kidding. That has not happened. I'm sure you've heard about that on the news. But what has happened is AR, VR headsets, they've blown up and everyone's coming up with really cool concepts for them. So the team at Bezel, which is a browser-based VR prototyping software, kind of similar to Figma, but for making AR and VR prototypes, they ran a challenge last month about who could come up with the best Portal-themed experience. And EJ, who is a designer from New York, actually won this competition. She created this really awesome experience where you enter an escape room. And I think it was such a clever idea, such a good use of the technology. So I jumped on a call and asked her how she came up with the idea.
I'm currently based in New York. I also work as a designer at the moment, but my design field has been there. I've been into many different industry actually. Started as an architect, graphic designer, branding designer, interior designer,
Wow.
product designer. So basically anything that has to do design with different skills, I kind of have experience in all of those.
That's so cool. So I think especially coming from like architecture to start with, you must have such a good understanding of like physical spaces and then virtual spaces. And tell me a bit about your entry for the Bezel competition. So I got in touch with you because I saw you won and I saw your amazing entry with the escape room. So what inspired you to enter that challenge?
So, I've been actually, I just started my new job like last week.
Awesome.
It's a product.
Congratulations.
Thank you. But until last week, I have been unemployed. I got laid off from my previous company due to
All the
business
layoffs.
economic
Yeah.
reasons. Everyone was getting laid off. So I was one of them, unfortunately. So I had a lot of free time, to be
Yeah.
honest, just learning things on my own, trying to make the best out of it. One of them, I got to know about Bezel through Design Buddies, actually.
Oh, cool.
It's
Yeah.
another Discord design community. So I got to know them. And since I had so much time, like, why don't I just try this competition? That was actually my second one I tried. The first one, I was like really trying to learn the actual tool.
Yeah.
And then the second time when I saw it, I wanted to utilize a little more.
So because of your background in like you said you started doing architecture, have you used other 3D design tools as well?
Yeah. So any tools, so like for as an architect, at school, I used a lot of 3D tools such as like Rhino,
Yeah.
Revit, all different kinds of like rendering tool, Maya,
Yeah.
anything you name it. I think I have kind of used it at school,
Yeah.
and I stopped using it once I graduated. But then I'm trying to bring back into that.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I think the thing I think Bezel is really cool for is it's just really, I don't know, it feels a lot less clunky. I've used Maya as well, and it's just the amount of like toolbars and shortcuts, and like loads of people use Blender, and I find the interface with Blender so overwhelming. Whereas Bezel just seems really like simple and like Figma for AR 3D. So that's been really cool. What was your experience? Did you find it easy to pick up? Did you have to like go and teach yourself it a bit?
I mean, there's a lot of content on YouTube around learning Bezel. And like you said, it's actually super easy. I think they design it especially for designers who do not have that 3D background. So it's a lot easier to for you to get in. All the like Maya and Blender, these are really cool tools, but it definitely has a steep learning curve.
Yeah.
Like you need to actually put some time in it. For Bezel, no, it was super easy. A lot of it had to do with like actually bringing things from Figma, which is
Ah,
I think
cool. Yeah.
another good thing for how they designed it because a lot of designers are already very familiar with Figma, so it's easy for them to kind
Yeah.
of get used to the workflow.
And I think, am I right in saying that the way you bring in a Figma design is literally just the page link or the file link, right? And then it just,
Yes,
yeah, it's so cool. It's so intuitive to use.
yeah, I think they made it really easy for the non 3D designers to get into it really easy. Yeah.
Awesome. And then, so your idea for the submission was an escape room. How did you come up with the idea for an escape room kind of interaction? What kind of led you to that?
So I think what was really funny, so I gave myself 2 weeks of time because I like to time box my thing because I otherwise I'll just continue to build it. For that 2 weeks, I think the most time I spent one actually was on concept, like what is
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah.
yeah, like actually building it didn't take that long, but like I had a lot of different ideas. Like for me, like what could really be meaningful and what could really utilize the virtual space or augmented spaces. Because like it needs to be very like it can't be just pretty, but like it needs to be like functional and has
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
something valuable to the users. So a lot of ideation. I first thought of designing a time machine where you can go to different time in different country, and then like as you open the door you will like land in different spaces. But as I was working I kind of felt like it's done a lot.
Yeah.
Done a lot, so I was like what else can I do, like what uses actually a room, because then I can actually film it in my own apartment.
Yeah.
I actually my own room, but like what uses room that actually benefits the AR spaces. And that's where I came up with the escape room. I actually really like doing it. I haven't done it for a while, but like you have to go there, you have to check in, like
Yeah.
you're usually with your friends. Like there's a lot of arrangement that needs to go through. But if you do it through
With
VR
a
or
headset.
AR,
Yeah, you're just straight in.
you have
Yeah, yeah,
exactly, and then you can meet your friend with there,
yeah.
go enter the space together, and then explore together. So that's how the whole thing came up.
So interesting that you spent so like the majority of 2 weeks on like ideating and coming up with the concept. I think it's such a good idea, such a like strong idea, which is obviously why it won the competition. But I guess it makes sense that you spent so long coming up with the concept. I love doing escape rooms as well, and I got really into like a big phase of like playing escape room games on my phone. So I think it is such a good like use case for these headsets. I feel like so many people are struggling to come up with a decent use case for VR headsets. I've seen so many clips of people just sitting in meeting rooms in VR, and it's like, what's the point?
Yeah,
We can do that in real life. So yeah, I think
exactly.
it is such a good, just such a good use case for it. How would you say you did come up? Did you like draw sketches out? How did you come up with the concept? Because you said you did some ideating. Was that mostly just thinking time, or were you like making smaller prototypes?
Mostly like just thinking time. Like
Yeah,
I'm like constantly thinking like, okay, what should I do? What should I do? Again, the key is like you said, like I don't want to do something that the real life provides. Like
yeah,
it needs to be very special in that sense that people like, oh, this is actually nicer to do it in VR.
yeah.
So that was the key for me to come up with that idea. And then once it's done, I usually go through like, okay, if this is what I'm gonna do, what are the interfaces and what are the steps that needs to be done. So I write out all of them. These are the interface I need, interface 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What are the key moments? And then in each key moment, what interaction needs to happen. So once I write down all of them, I actually do prioritize them
Okay,
because, like I said, I only have 2 weeks. If I don't give that time box to myself, I will just try to do all of them.
yeah,
So what are the ones that like even if I don't get to it, it still works.
yeah,
So then I prioritize them, and then I go from the very high prioritized one and to the low one. So when I submitted to Bezel, I actually had this full like writing what kind of interfaces I thought about, what are the interactions that I wanted to build, and what are their prioritization. And then these are the ones that like I crossed it out, the ones that I did.
yeah.
So those are the whole processes I go through.
That's so
Um,
interesting. So it's kind of like a mix of storyboarding, but then also thinking about it in terms of like, if you know the phrase minimum viable product, like MVP, like what's the minimum viable to make the concept still work? That's so cool. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing. So my last question is, what advice would you have for designers who are looking to push the boundary in terms of like AR design? Like if someone's never tried it before and wants to get into it, what advice would you have for them?
the only advice I can give is like just do it.
Yeah.
Because like it actually took me a really long time for me to get into it. I wanted to learn about this when actually COVID started.
Oh wow.
Then like I like was very lazy, or like I had like other things to do. I had like my jobs that I need to take care of, and I was just very like not starting.
Yeah.
And finally when I lost my job, that's when I like, okay, you know what, I'm just gonna do it. Like I don't know anything about it, let's watch what other people have done, like let's ask people around. I actually talked to a lot of XR designer
Oh cool.
asking for their advice, how do I start. And then one day I just like start. But once you start, like things come together.
Yeah.
Like you don't know that until you start, but like when you do it, then like, oh, these are the things I need to learn actually next. These are things that I need to familiarize myself.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
as you get more of those information, like your next step will be showing up to you. So I'll just say start for now
Yeah,
and see
awesome.
where that takes you.
And I think now the tools are just so accessible. Like it's so you don't need special computers. You can just open up a browser, watch some tutorials on YouTube, and then just get straight into it. So yeah, it definitely is very, very achievable. But obviously, your entry and your submission was so cool. So thank you so much for taking the time to chat to me about it and for sharing your advice with everyone.
Thank you so much for interviewing me.
Awesome. Thanks, EJ. I really hope you enjoyed that interview. Please do hit the like button below and make sure to subscribe to the channel. It really helps so that I can keep creating more videos like this and keep interviewing more people who are doing cool stuff in the design space. If you've got an idea for someone who you think I really should speak to who's made something really cool, let me know and I'll reach out to them. Thank you so much for watching and see you on the next one. Cheers.